Welcome to our Africa 2040 Scenarios podcast. This is a space for conversations with thought leaders shaping Africa's AI and climate future and exploring the intersection of technology, climate action, and African sovereignty. My name is Angie Madara, and I'm joined by Nzwaki. Nzwaki, go ahead.
Thank you, Angie. I'm so excited for today's episode because our guest is one of our own, the incredible, incomparable, resilient, kind, and gentle Sage. Sage. Sage is an East African entrepreneur and consultant who founded Sage Entrepreneurs Academy in 2009. Since then, he's trained more than 30,000 aspiring entrepreneurs, helping them develop essential skills for success. In addition to that, in 2021, he launched Uzima Foods, which has since provided more than 100,000 meals to local communities, emphasizing nutritious and sustainable food solutions. In his role as advisor in charge of SMEs and local investments at the DRC Chamber of Commerce in South Kivu Province, Sage has supported the establishment of more than 80 small and medium enterprises, fostering local investment and economic growth. His work has created more than 500 jobs and contributed to increasing local business revenues. And as if that wasn't enough, he is both an Ashoka Fellow and an Archbishop Leadership Fellow. Sage, thank you for being with us and welcome. Bienvenue.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
So we hope you're ready for us to grill you. Apparently, we ask very big questions. So feel free to break it down to sort of digestible parts that you want to answer, and we can keep it flexible, like you said. But maybe just to get us into the swing of things, as you think about the future of the DRC, looking into 2040 and the possible pathways that the country could follow, what is top of mind for you? What are your key concerns? And what are some of the top questions that are at the top of your mind when you think about the future of the DRC? What's present for you?
Yeah, thank you very much, Zwanki. Since 1996, Congo has been going a lot troubles, many challenges in terms of instabilities, political instabilities, which has even affected economic and social aspects. So projecting into 2040, many things comes to my mind. In case the population, the Congolese people want to establish a promising future in the Republic Democratic of Congo. Number one, there should be an establishment of a robust government which can be able to tackle the challenges of instability and the insecurity, because those are the major things which need to be addressed upfront. In case if we can establish peace first, we can ride the insecurity, other things can move on. Number two is to cultivate a culture of cohesion, because right now the DRC population is divided based on the economic or political interest. But our government must be able to establish a sense of cohesion where everyone must understand I am a Congolese and that is enough. But we shouldn't be labeled by origin or labeled by tribe or anything. So being a Congolese should be enough for its citizenship to sustain peace and cohesion in the DRC. Number two, we need to leverage on how we can take advantage on the potential resources which the DRC holds currently. How can those resources be benefiting to its own population instead of a group of people whom are just there for their own interest, forgetting people. Number three is about integrating um, tools which can enable uh, youth to be involved into technological development, because right now the DRC population is not really advanced in terms of technology. If the government can address uh, that challenge where young people can access easily to technology, can access easily to tools which can help cope up with the remaining or the rest of the world. That is something which can ensure a brighter uh, DRC in 2040.
Thanks, Saj. And I'm glad that in your framing, you've touched upon the next couple of questions we're going to be talking to you about. So it was like great around resources, around the youth. And maybe I can pass it to Angie here.
Thank you, Nzwaki. Thank you, Saj. I'd like to unpack a little bit about what you just mentioned, resources. DRC is the wealthiest country in terms of resources in the world. And lately, there has been a lot of buzz. If you check the news, if you check regional and both global news, even the Trump administration being interested in DRC, there's a lot of interest in the resources and critical minerals that DRC holds. And I just wanted to ask you, how do you see both global and regional politics playing out for DRC up to 2040? What do you think are the next things that we're going to anticipate, and how do you think DRC can be positioned, should be positioned, or how it's actually positioned in this global political and regional political sphere? And how can DRC change trajectory from being seen as just a supplier where minerals are just extracted to actually being beneficiaries and resources being retained, wealth being retained within the DRC? What sort of leadership should we call for? I know that's a lot. It's like 5 questions in one, but maybe just try and unpack it.
Yeah, as Nelson Mandela said, that the most powerful legacy you can provide to the young generation is education. And if education is well structured in a positive manner, everything can work positively. So right now, I think Congolese youth don't need another subject in geography, in history, in science. I don't know. The Congolese young people don't need those stories. What young people need is education in mindset changing. Because if there is a powerful system which supports the renewal of mindset, of seeing things in a different way, understanding someone's origin, because most Congolese lost their belonging. They don't know who they are. They lost their identity. So there should be that sense of new belonging where Congolese can understand that mindset changing is very powerful. And that can be applied through advocacy, a strategic political aspect which can make people understand that we make decision we own decision and we run the decision, not someone make decision for the population to run it. And that is what is working, is running right currently in DRC. But talking about the education is the number one key which can ensure that the DRC becomes brighter and promising in 2040. Number two is changing the narrative of politics in DRC. Currently, the political aspect is owned by old people, whom I always called dinosaurs, whom they know that they are the one who owns the DRC. So young people can't touch. And that is still a barrier which needs to be tackled. Young people, to ensure that the DRC take off in a positive manner, young people must understand that it is their time to act, to get involved, to handle the matters in their own ways without waiting for the old people deciding for them. Number three is about advocating for a fair and a promising environment through cultural exchange. That is something very important in terms of making things work in the DRC. And also, we need to shift some kind of thought into minerals, because currently young people in DRC think that the only way to make a living is to have a gold, to have certain minerals. While what is the use of having minerals without knowing its benefit or its potential? I think it is the right time where young people should understand that an empty stomach provides an empty brain. There is no a smart brain in an empty stomach. So young people must understand that it is the right time to first cater on the basic needs. And the number one is agriculture, so that the Congolese nation should not depend on the foreign food to survive. Young people in DRC must be productive. Number two is self-resilience. Understand that international aids are not there to change the narrative of poverty. Because if it was the case, since DRC got independence, there is many humanitarian aid funds which has been poured into DRC. But the question is, if really aids, international aids was there to advance economic empowerment, how comes DRC is still poor while it is among the richest countries, and also it receives annually aids which is beyond by its GDP. So those are the things which young people should understand, that it is time to take matters on hand, to hold our own story, to write our own story. And it should come by any cost, as long as we understand the vision and the targets in terms of changing. So I don't know if I clearly answered your question, but if the people, the Congolese, because right now in DRC it is no longer about politicians, because politicians have taken advantage of the blindness of people. Now, I think we need to change the aspect. Instead of focusing on politicians, it is time to focus on people, to tell them, you guys, you are sleeping. It is not understandable for you to stay in a house for a full week without power, while we have the most powerful uh, 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 energy source provider, which helps other countries to survive, while you are staying. We need to tell these people, hey guys, it is not understandable for your fruits or for your vegetables to perish in the village due to lack of the roads, while the people whom are serving you, they are making their life and they are eating food from China, food from Singapore, food from where, while your local food from your sweat is getting spoiled in your own village due to the lack of roads. So those are the things which have to be done currently, instead of just keeping on blaming the government, blaming politicians, because they understood that before being on power, they understood these are the weakness of these guys, and we are going to handle them like that so that we get whatever we want. It is no longer about international instabilities, because every country currently is fighting on its side to get way to find its way of surviving. So also the population in Congo must think in that way.
Thank you so much, Saj. You've mentioned a few things that I'd like to pick out. One is something that has been recurring in all the conversations that we have had so far, which is the solution can be found within. It doesn't have to be dictated by some external forces. But really, we should see what we have and work with what we have, because we do have the solution. And you've also talked about diversification of the economy, which is something that most African economies are battling with, reliance on just one particular product as a driver. And going back to the things that are within our control, we can manage, which is things like agriculture and these types of livelihoods that we can generate more economic value within. I think that's super important. And finally, focusing on youth and using that drive to demand change is something that we've had throughout the conversations that we've had so far. Nzwaki?
Thanks, Angie and Saj. Saj, before I go on to the next question, I wondered if you have some practical ideas around. So you've said we need to say to shake people, wake up. This is not okay, the terms under which you're living when we have all these resources. But what are some of the ways in which, okay, now I'm awake, what is the action that I take as a citizen to get involved, to act? Are there bodies that are organizing on the ground? Are there networks being built? What are some of the platforms that you think we need or that are already starting, where people can take, it's like, okay, I'm awake now, what do I do with my volition?
Yeah, as a young person, I think um, it's all start by education. We need to acknowledge that the DRC, Congolese education system is obsolete. It is no longer helpful. It is no longer provide critical thinking where people can understand that I can think differently. So right now, the education system is teaching people to follow the rules, to comply. Unless you don't comply, you are the bad guy in the room. So they don't want you to think, and that is the biggest challenge right now in the earth. So for me, I think for someone, a young person who is awakened, it is the right time to understand that. Okay, I have gotten a bachelor from this university in DRC, but why am I still looking for a job? Why have I spent 5 years looking for a job with all this um, intellectual language which I'm holding every day and every night. That should be something where, for someone, a young person who is understanding that there is something wrong, I think you should find a different way of education, because all the education no longer work. Secondly, is about empowering young generations into different thinking. So we have had many many Congolese from diaspora. I'm not talking about politics, but I can give you an example of our current president, who spent half of his life in Belgium. He has been seeing how things have been done in terms of development over there. But the question is, why is this guy can't say, let me bring this knowledge in this country now and change something based on what I've been spending abroad learning? So we need, right now, for young people, need to understand that the government is absolute. So for someone who wants change, I think there is no really a need to trust the current government. People have to rely on themselves and say, no, what do we really want? What are we going to do to make what we want happen? Which resources or effort are we going to invest in terms of making what we want happen, without waiting for someone to come again and do something for us? And that is where now the importance of international support comes from. Right now, the Congolese population doesn't need another millions of dollars supporting gender violence, or supporting, I don't know, peacekeeping, MONUSCO, UN in DRC. Right now, I think the international aids should be addressing the matter of youth inclusion into politics, mindset changing for the young generation to prepare the next people in power who will come after this power which is no longer working. The international support must think on what mechanism can we implement to make a transition in terms of power shifting, understanding that these young people need change, but they don't have tools which can help them to change. How can we intervene to help their inclusion into decision making? Also, to be able to address what they really want, instead of the old people deciding for them what doesn't work for them. So I think that is. Also, there is another problem of corruption. Corruption is a very big barrier to the development of DRC. And then the corruption is done by the people in power. So I think the international aids should think on why, instead of supporting, bringing this envelope of money or millions of dollars to support such kind of project, I think they can borrow some ideas from countries which are free from corruption. Because once the corruption is not affecting its population, the population find their ways to the development. But when corruption still there, it still hinders the population's development. So for me, I think for someone who is really eager for change, thinking like there is something which is not working, he needs to consider first how to become resilient by including other people who think like him, and find solutions within themselves, by themselves, with themselves.
Thank you.
Thanks, Saj. And I think you're obviously doing a lot of work with young people in your academy, equipping them with the skills to become successful entrepreneurs, right? And I'm sure in that journey with these people, you're seeing what methods, what tools, what approaches are proving successful and maybe even scalable. So I was curious about what you're learning through the academy that you think you can scale out into the wider community to sort of get that youth engagement, to get that sense of agency, like I can start this by myself, I can be the leader of my business. And then maybe as you're sharing that, you can share with us what you're seeing them doing. Are people building social enterprises to address the social injustices? What sort of businesses are people building as you walk with them through their journey in your academy, just for us to get a sense?
Yes, you see, what is the most important thing in DRC is making the voice of a young person to be heard, to be heard. So if someone somewhere out can be able to listen to a voice of a person living in a most marginalized region in the DRC, in a corner deep there, that is what matters most than what is being displayed currently on social media. Because they can show you how these people are suffering, but they don't give you an option, an opportunity for you to listen to them exactly. So someone is talking on their behalf, and that is still making confusion between making someone's voice being listened to and someone talking to his behalf on based on his interest. Because right now information, it is very easy to manipulate information vis-a-vis to what people are seeing in terms of photos. And so what I think can be brought at the scale, at a national scale in DRC, is first making a young person's voice loud to be listened to. That is the most important thing. There is also integrating uh, activity, youth activity led into education curriculums, like subject like entrepreneurship, where currently in the central region, the DRC hold a high number of unemployment on the scape, the overview scape. So now I think it should be it is the crucial time for the education system to understand that entrepreneurship must be compulsory into the educational curriculums in DRC, because you can't provide jobs without creating it. And currently in Congo, there is job seekers, but there is no job creators. So if the government and other civil society activists can find a way of how they can include activities which can create jobs into the curriculum, into the educational curriculum, it can be something significant to help young people. Another thing is establishing supportive ecosystems which support youth into their creativity, because young people have bright ideas. At the beginning, they seem to be foolish and unstable, but when it comes in terms of implementing, people start understanding now, this is now the overview, this is the real aspect. And for me, all this time I've been working with young people, I've never seen really a bad idea. It is about perception of the people. But The bad idea comes when this young person doesn't have access to supportive tools to help demonstrate his real view of what is thinking into his mind. Because something which is being thought and something which is being implemented are two things very different. And someone can easily understand something which is being implemented better than something which is being said. So we need to provide supportive tools, supportive systems to these young people to feel like they own things. Right now in DRC, a young person accessing to financial systems it is like praying for a limousine while you have a job which pays you $50. So it is really challenging in DRC. You have many procedures, many things you have to go through to get what you are looking for. And that chance is not given to everyone. So why not allowing that inclusivity? Because another thing which I have learned about this, seen that most of the bright ideas comes from the unsupported people. All the times I've been working with youth, I've noticed most of the bright ideas are for the young people coming from poor families. They have a very dark stories which you can't even admire. They don't have belonging, but they manage to find their ways to come out, to shine. But most of these people who belongs to this system where they get everything on the silver table, you find they are not really performing better than the guys on the ground there in the corner who are sound. So it is very important to equip young people with not only the tools which can help them to grow, also providing them with a supporting system, a network, because everyone has done something based on a reference of something else. So if these guys can be having role models whom can be helping them understand that now if this one did this, it means also I can do that, and so on, and the life goes very promising. And I believe if those things can be implemented by 2040, the DRC will be a paradise. It will be a better place to live because it has what it takes apart from systems.
Thank you so much, Saj. And I think it has so much credibility when someone is speaking about tools that they're practicing every day. Like you literally are creating the support network and ecosystem for young people in the DRC today and have seen the power of it. Yeah, so it's really inspiring to hear you speak with confidence about something that you're living. Maybe let me hand over to Angie to ask you about double click into some of your ideas around entrepreneurship.
Thank you, Saj. When you're talking about the most promising ideas coming from the most underprivileged sectors in the community, it made me remember this analogy, necessity is the mother of invention. And it brought me back to the entrepreneurship sector that you're in DRC. Do you see any changes in the entrepreneurship ecosystem that are being necessitated by the changes in climate or AI? And how do you see the evolution of this ecosystem within the DRC in the next 20 years? How do you project that entrepreneurship ecosystem would look like in the next 20 years?
Yeah, as far as there is a renewal or a change of Congolese political systems,
Mm.
the entrepreneurship landscape is really promising because Congolese are really courageous and they are very flexible when it comes in terms of coping up. So when we think on the DRC in 2024, the entrepreneurship is poised on a transformative evolution
Mm.
over the next 2 decades. So there is something where young people in the corner somewhere, somehow, they fight day and night to implement. So what we are envisioning is an inclusive and equity, which are prioritized based on youth-based needs, where young people they understand they own the technology, they own the innovation. It based on the reality on the ground, not based on the general aspects.
Mm.
Because when it comes on the general aspect, it's something different. So young people in DRC, they are tackling the problems, the really problems in terms of innovation and the technology, which they are found in their own respective communities. Uh, we need also to take advantage of diversification of
Mm.
ideas and the perceptions of each and everyone to make sure that there is that mass of uh, challenges which are being solved at a rapid growth. So no one should be on the system, but everyone must own the system. Where there is that freedom of expression and demonstration, understanding that everyone has access to the tools of implementations. And from there, that is the only thing which can assure the promising future of the DRC. But also, there is a need of mentorship on the network.
Mm.
We need to find the DRC population need to find role models to understand if these guys have done this,
Mm.
what can we do to make it more better than what they did? So we shouldn't just sit in our box and thinking like what we are doing is right, but always compare our innovation, our technology based on the advancement of other uh, people so that we
Mm.
can make more something more significant. But the pillar of innovation, the pillar of sustainability, economical sustainability in the DRC relies on entrepreneurship and the technology.
Mm.
Unless those two things are well established, DRC will fly than any other country in 2024. But also there is a need of inter-regional integrations.
Mm.
You know, when people are sharing common goals, most of times there is a high level of innovation. I personally have never been for the visa acquisition, the DRC visa acquisition politics. It hinders investment. That is why it is very hard for someone from Kenya to or South Africa or anywhere to come and invest in DRC because the environment in terms of belonging doesn't favor this guy.
Mm.
So for me, right now, I'm feeling flexible to come to Kenya to invest than in my own country. I feel flexible to come to South Africa to invest than my own country. Why? Because even the investment policies in DRC, they are very challenging. So there is that need of changing the policies relating to investment, where everything can work for the people, not from the a group of people.
Thank you so much, Saj. I resonate with that point because I think personally the future of not just DRC but Africa in general will be reliant on entrepreneurship and technology. If you want to tackle joblessness, then we have to create jobs. I like how you put that link very well. Over to you, Nzwaki.
Thanks, Angie. Saj, we're already down to our last 5 minutes. That went very quickly. I don't know how. So we'd maybe like to end off on a hopeful note, and ask you, what are you seeing in the work that you're doing every day? You do so many different things that really gives you hope for the DRC to 2040. Maybe it's an entrepreneur you've worked with, a project they've started, a person you've met. But yeah, maybe just sharing like where you get your glimmers of hope around change is possible. We can do it. There is agency. There are bright people working against the odds. But maybe just to pick your brain on what comes to mind when you're like, ah, this gives me hope.
You know, I think I've been traveling, but I've never seen a resilient community like the Congolese community. Congolese people are very strong. They know, they have mastered the art of handling waves, challenges. Can you imagine someone has not eaten the whole day but still goes to school? You find this person, he's suffering, but he's struggling to make his way out. That is something very big to understand, that the bright of the DRC, the future of the DRC is very bright. And we don't have any reason to give up. I have young people right now. There is a program. I've been conducting a survey on the impact of IT in the university schools in DRC, in the Eastern DRC. But can you imagine a university student learning IT without a laptop and giving you the codes? And when you bring him the laptop, is implementing codes from scratch based on what you want exactly, but he has been in school learning coding without laptop. So that is something very hopeful. It shows like, no, there is no need to give up. We need to empower these young people up to the end. We need to show them that at the end of the tunnel there is a light. There is a light somewhere. Never give up. And that is what we call for our partners. We tell them, we know the DRC has its own challenges, but don't see the challenges of the DRC, but to see the effort of the people. Consider the effort of people, so that the people themselves, they will be able to change the DRC challenges. So that is among my motivations to keep on working with young people. And I thank God, because it is a blessing, because through those processes, I get to learn a lot. I get to learn a lot when I interact with young people. So that is it for
Have we
me
lost
as
Saj?
in terms of lesson.
You're
Saj, we don't hear you well.
Done. Hello? Hello?
Saj, your audio is choppy. We can't hear you quite well.
Hello?
Hello, better. That's better.
That is better.
Yes.
Yeah, so in brief, I was saying the hope reside on the resilience of the Congolese people and their effort to come out of their challenges no matter what.
Thank you so much, Saj. We've come to the end of our podcast today, and I just want to say a big thank you. And I really enjoyed this chat, just digging in, just peeling back the curtain and looking at DRC is something that not a lot of people do. And we've gotten the opportunity to do that through our conversation with you. So I want to say thank you. And thank you for giving us a hopeful future to look forward to. You've put it in a very nice context. We as Africans and the people of DRC in particular are very resilient, and that in itself is an indicator for a change, for a hopeful future to look forward to. So I want to say thank you from all of us and from the Tutu Associates 2025. Thank you, Saj.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Angie. Thank you very much, Zwaki.
Merci beaucoup, Saj.
Yeah, hope we are meeting. We are linking. We are meeting soon. Yeah.
Sure.